Did you know that most violins played by the greatest musicians of all time have one thing in common? A neck graft. But what is a neck graft? Why was it done? And how do we do it today? Hello, back again. This is Edgar from Cremona, Italy. Today, I want to share something a bit unusual that I decided to do with my latest violin, a copy of the famous Guarneri Ole Bull. Normally, when I make violins, the neck and scroll are carved from a single piece of wood. But this time, I wanted to stay as close as possible to the historical original. And that instrument has something called a neck graft. We actually already talked about this topic in a previous video. I leave the link right up here so you can go watch it if you're curious about the historical side of this procedure.
The Baroque period finished around 1750, 1755, something like this. But imagine that this change of culture was not from one day. There was not an earthquake and then all instruments became modern. It was slowly going on. So for at least 100, 150 years, violin makers at that time had to change the neck, and that was very common, and so they did it very often. For you, this is important to look, and we go through now a few books and I show you. Sometimes on one side you don't see it, and on the other side, when you look at it, then you see, oh, there's a line. This is a different piece of wood. Here, this is the violin, the 1703 Dankla, and you can see it then here, okay? That you can see on one side, you see it a little bit less good. On the other side, you see it very good. Just let's take by chance another one. So this here is, let's say, an early one, 1699, La Fall. Here I show you this one because it's typical that the scroll is very flat, no flames, and then you see the neck, how it is nicely flamed, okay? And then when you look very careful and you see these joints, usually the best makers in the world are remaking this neck setting. Nowadays, yes, it's going to be made because somebody has a too skinny neck, or it has been worn off and they need now a better one, or they want to center the scroll because it was a little bit inclined or something in the original neck, or it was a little bit twisted and they want to line it up. But that you now say, oh, I need a new neck graft, nowadays it doesn't come too often. It could be that you have a worm inside and you have to sacrifice the neck, so then you cut it off and you get a new neck. Happened already once to a cello, which we had here in the workshop, where we had to make a neck graft because of that. But that's actually all. There are several ways of making it, and this is probably the most common and most simple one. There are some much more fancier ones where you go into it, and on the upper part you try to leave the material, the original material, so you then not see it right away that there has been made a neck graft. But by purpose, I use a completely different wood so that you see it right away that I made it. But this strange neck like this has been made for all Strats, Guarneris and Amatis, who are now modern, set up and played by musicians. It is still outside more material than actually it should be. So I can be quite generous here. Of course, in order to make it quicker, it's convenient that you have like a mold where you put in your folds. So this is not my first neck graft, so I can put this in here, and then it's quite well fixed inside, so then it's easier to work with. Just keep on doing here a little bit so you see how this whole thing is actually being made. This is for another one, this is a different one, yeah. So the lower surface here is the one which is actually the most important one, and I want to incline it a little bit, so I want to plane here a little bit. You go in here. Basically, you don't want to force this size. Here it is touching in the upper area and here in the lower one. So then we have to twist it a little bit. So that means we have to go down here on this side a little bit more. Usually musicians love a very flamed neck. And indeed, if you look at these great instruments, Stradivari's, they all have very, very nice flamed necks. But if you look at the Stradivari original ones, the scroll usually is always made out of not so much flamed maple. And this is because at the time it was too expensive to use the very nice wood for the scroll. So they used the nice wood for the back, and for the scroll they just took not so much flamed wood, you know? I have now one surface and then this one. And then you see here on the lower side it's closing. Here it is still a little bit more touching here, and here it is open. And on the other side it is, we are far away. We have to plane a lot down here. Hope you enjoyed this one. And if you want to become even a better rocker, a better violin maker than me, you should definitely sign up to my Violin Making Academy. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.